So in this video, we're going to look at how can we use Excel to perform time linear trend regression model. So the data we're using is under the computer skill data set. So the first tab about the bicycles. And here we can see in the first column, we look at the 10 years data. And the second column is the sales of the bicycles. So this is not 21.6, it's 21.6 thousand bicycles. Okay, so before we, although the question actually asks us to try the time linear trend regression, the first question is very important. So we need to create our line plot first and to see if we are seeing any trend or seasonality. And keep in mind that for moving average and exponential smoothing model, the data has to be stationary, right? So therefore, we actually look at if the data is stationary or not. Before we, for the time linear trend regression, it'll be more proper if we actually see the trend in my data. So therefore, first step, let's just creating our line chart. So this is the data. We are clicking insert and then going to the section here called the insert line chart. And then we choose the first one, very basic 2D line chart. So after you click it, it's a blank. So we need to select data. So under the chart design, we select the select data. For the add, so for the series name, that's my time series name. So that's a sales. For the series value, I will click this little upward arrow and we'll select from B2 to B11. And then click this arrow one more time. And then click OK. And then fortunately for the year, this column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. So this already is period labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So we don't need to do any changes. If it's not, you need to click this icon, edit, and select the column that you think that's the right value for your period intervals. Okay, so now we'll click OK. As you can see in this chart, we do see an upward trend, right? So we do see a slightly upward trend. So it will be more obvious if I changing this scale from, let's see, instead of 0 to 35, I will changing to 15 to 35. So now you can see this trend more clearly, right? So you can see this trend is upward trend. Because of this, we decide we will try to use what the questions recommended, the time linear trend regression. So that's what we are thinking. It's not because it's a science, because after we plot the line chart, we do see a linear trend, upward linear trend. Therefore, we are thinking to use the linear trend regression analysis. So first of all, in order to do that, we need to identify my X and Y variable correctly. So the sales, this is my Y variable. So remember the series we try to forecast, that's my Y variable. And now I want to creating a new column called time index. That's what I usually do. Although you can directly use column A, the year, but I prefer to always creating the time index. Because sometimes instead of a year, here might be year 1 quarterly. So then the number here is not continuous. You actually should create your time index for sure. So to building that habit, I always creating my X variable for time for this kind of model. So this is my X1, right? So in that case, I would type 1, 2. And then once you type 1, 2 and select these two cell together, and move the mouse to the right down corner and then drag it, so it will automatically fill in the numbers. So that's the cool thing about Excel. There is so many smart functions already built into the Excel, right? So now I have my Y variable, I have my X variables. What I need to do is just use the knowledge we already learned from the regression analysis to run the simple linear regression. Okay, so under the data tab, on the right hand side, you should be able to see the data analysis. So if this plugin is not in, I think by now this plug should be in your computer. So if not, in that that means you might change in the computer, or you had the computer reinstall your software somehow. So make sure you follow the beginning of the video in last module to add in this data analysis. Okay, so we click data analysis, and then we will use the model called the regression. So they're automatic, alphabetically ordered. Choose a regression, and then click OK. So my Y range, so I click this little upward arrow, and I select from B1 to B11. After I finish selecting, I click the arrow again. Now my X range, I will select this little arrow. So that's my time index. And then click this arrow. And again, when I select my data, my first row were included, but they are not data, they are my labels. So therefore I check the box labels. So if the data you select didn't include any labels, you should not check this box. Okay. So then for the new worksheet, I will say linear trend model. Okay. And I know in the regression analysis, we also check all those boxes. Feel free to check all those boxes. I just don't want to have a bunch of chart in my diagram. So maybe I want this one, line fit plots. I want to include in that one to see how the line fit into my the scatters I have. Okay, after I do this, I can click OK. Okay, as you can see, we are generating a new tab called linear trend model, because that's the model where we just named it, right? Let me enlarge it. So the orange dot is the predicted value for each time. And then on the left hand side here, okay. So what I want to do is I want to changing all the decimal places to 2. Too many decimal places. So let me select the whole sheet by clicking this corner, and then go into home, go into number, and then reducing decimal places. Oh, actually we cannot do that way, huh? Let me just reducing this ones. And then the same. And then the same for here. Oops, 2. I would just like 2 decimal places. Okay, and then me enlarge my result. Okay, so this is the result for this bicycle selling problems. So as you can see, the linear equation we predicted here is equal to y hat equal to my y-intercept. So that is 20.4 and the plus 0.1 point x. So first, once we get in this result, you should do 2 things, right? So first, the 1.1, my slope, is the p-value equal to 0.00, so that's smaller than 0.05. So my time index, this predictor, actually is statistically significant. That's perfect. So first, you need to learn how to interpret in this 1.1, right? So that means as time goes by, so every year as every year increase, as every year pass by, so the bicycle sale will increase by 1,100 bikes. So remember I mentioned about here didn't call out, so the sale here is measured under the thousandths bike. So this 21.6 is a 21,600. So what we learned here is as every year the increase, they will increase sale by 1,100 bikes. And then this is one thing you should do to understand relationship between the time increase and how that affecting the time series you try to predicting, because this is the upward trend, right? So the second is you actually can do the forecasting, right? Look, so we have 10th year. So how about we try to predicting the 15th year, okay, 15th year. So in that sense, if we predict in the 15th year, so the time index for the 15th year will equivalent to 15, right? So for that case, so that prediction will equal to 20.4 plus 1.1 times 15. So that's based on this model, we're going to forecast in the 15th year, the sale will be equal to 36,900 bikes. Okay, so that's the cool thing about the linear trend model. once you find the significant time index slope, and then you actually know you can use this model to capture some important trend informations to do the forecasting for your time series data.